So gentlemen, 2 Fest banner is here. Getting both is probably the most common answer between these 2 Fest students. Now let's talk about what makes these so special. Well, technically, Fest students is always known to be the most powerful. Furthermore, the banner itself offer double the rate of SSR from 3% into 6%. With that said though, you can't just doing all in and coping your wanted students will appear here. That's just near to impossible to get, and getting dupe is higher as the progress keep up. Well, it could be good to farm Eligmas as much as you want. But after getting S.Hanako, you should save up for upcoming students that might help you as well. There's low chance to get S. Hoshino and Mika within these 2 Fest banner, but that odds isn't worthwhile until both appear on their run. So TLDR, you pulling on this, get the current Fest students and then leave. Don't even try to thinking getting new students, or the Fest students that you haven't obtained like S. Hoshino or Mika. It's just not worth to do all in. Sure, both are strongest, worth to build or maximize investment and all, but how could you know you're getting both by doing all in? Consider yourself lucky if you get them while trying to get S.Hanako or Wakamo. Again, get the current Fest students and then leave. Don't even try to cope for the past Fest students that you've missed, or coping to get a load of new students that you haven't obtained. Exception: if you're beginner, have a load of Pyroxene or Copium, have only few students, then you could do all in Pyroxene you saved in there. Sure, you'll obtain so many new students, but to raise them, you will get fucked. Now here's the thing, if you're having less than 20k Pyroxene, was it necessary to pull some here? These banner, knowing the SSR rate is increased? I think it's way too complex to explain. Or perhaps it's depend on your current situation right now. Best I can say is, think about getting S.Hanako no matter what. Well, of course S.Hanako isn't Sonic area damage dealer, and she is the first student with Sonic attack type. In the future, there will be more students with Sonic attack type, but the best to get and build is these 2. You see, Sonic attack type is quite unique than the other attack type. It has ability to deal 150% damage into special armored enemies than any other attack type, and that 150% damage is called as effective. Now, if you're lacking Mystic area damage dealer, you could use students with Sonic attack type since they will deal 50% more damage than bringing students with piercing attack type for Mystic content. Her X skill able to deal area damage within fan-shaped range. Basic skill, she yeeted a dildo that dealing damage, and applied defense debuff into the enemies within circular area. Surely defense debuff is pretty much in common, but being able to inflict debuff into multiple enemies is something new. And that ability will be commonly used on the new raid boss. The bosses will appear with elastic defense type, and have some defense stats. So, S.Hanako with Sonic attack type will be the most viable in there. Her X and basic skill will always helpful. Her enhanced skill has double improvement, that is attack and critical damage. Both are too good to ignore this skill. You see, in the new raid boss or Kurikage, if the boss gets staggered because the groggy bar is fully filled, all available students in the field will have their critical rate increased. This means that your students will mostly dealing critical hit within this state. So, increase her enhanced skill into max, and unlocking the enhanced skill plus is very much worth it to do so. And then her sub skill, increase the charge by 40% whenever an ally uses their X skill. For each charge her attack will increase moderately. However, she can hold the charge up to 2 charges, and this means her attack will significantly increase than having a single charge. Now, the charge has link into her X skill. So if you use her X skill while she have 1 or 2 charges, the charge will be consumed or subtract by 1. The damage she dealt from her X skill will significantly increased because of her sub skill, and her X skill card will remains in the X skill slot until the charge is 0 and last if her X skill is activated. In short, if the water gauge is filled and have 2 charges, you can spam and uses her X skill 3 times. If she is way too confusing to you, then you will learn a lot than hearing this complexity explanation after she is released and you have her. So good luck with that. So there you go. You see S.Hanako is one of the Fest students here. If you thinking that she is the core for new raid boss with new defense type, then without a doubt. Since Sonic attack type is kind of unique than any other attack type, that Sonic attack type will deal 150% damage against special defense type and called it as effective. This means that if you're having trouble with against special armored enemies, you can use S.Hanako to clear them. There's a lot on regular content and so joint firing drill. And that's it, gentlemen. S.Hanako is must-have Sonic attack type students, and once you get her, try to get Kekio next. She is the buffer for Sonic and debuffer for Elastic. And then we have Wakamo banner. Wakamo is often being there and used when needed, after Emerisu is released. After her unique gear is released, she is even better. You see, her X skill damage is limited by her own attack stats and cannot deal critical. And to deal damage, students at least should deal damage into the marked target until it hit cap damage and the time reach 0. Then the accumulation damage will dealt into it. If fail, however, accumulation damage will deal the worst or lowest damage that you have never seen. Now since her X skill cannot deal critical and based on her attack stats, you can buff with attack buff from supporter, like Himari or Kotama as an example to improve the damage dealt from her X skill. You can also use Wakamo to improve the X skill damage dealt as well. It's not the attack that will be increased, but it's the damage she dealt will increase after accumulation. To use her, you don't really need Akko buff actually, if she is there just for the X skill. But take a look at her unique gear. On T2 is a significant damage improvement from the basic skill she damaged. If you applied Akko buff, she will deal even more damage. Also that includes Himari and Wakamo buff by the way. To be fair, it's kinda rare momentum where you actually gonna buff Wakamo just for the basic skill. I think the last time is on Shirokuro Indoor. Because in there, she is wearing sunglasses and most Mystic Dealer don't like indoor battle. I mean yes, S.Azusa likes indoor battle but with the same buff that applied, isn't gonna cover up why you should not buff Wakamo for the basic skill on indoor battle. If you have monkey brain, let me explain a little bit to you about what you saw here. So, the same buff is applied in two students, and the result is that Wakamo basic skill did better than S.Azusa's X skill. Wakamo basic skill can deal 1.5 million on max, and require you nothing but just waiting, while S.Azusa X skill damage can only deal 1 million. Damage over time are not included. This means that, for every 20 seconds on Shirokuro Indoor, you have to prepare full buff on Wakamo for that sweet damage she dealt from her basic skill. But value might ask, why you should buff Wakamo than just buff S.Azusa? Well technically, Wakamo basic skill does not cost you anything but just waiting for 25 seconds, while S.Azusa is 5x skill cost, just like that I think. Moreover, the other skills like enhanced and sub skill really helps a lot and fit her role as damage dealer. Though not really the hyper carry like any best student's dealer, but she is the hyper carry for the Mystic Indoor battle out there. If not the hyper carry, then you can still use her as side dealer. Either way, her X skill and basic skill is still good even with just a single buff from Wakamo, so overall, both are good or great even and viable unit. S.Hanako is great for new raid boss and any mystic content that require mystic area damage dealer. While Wakamo is very viable for hyper carry mystic indoor battle or as a mystic side damage dealer. Reminder, have non-uses free pulls will be expired, don't forget to use it immediately. And of course, the spark point you got will be converted into the crafting pieces. And that should be all I think. As always, Godspeed.